Good morning and welcome to the Friday Financial Review. I'm Paul Griffiths and I'm a financial planner for Europe. So I hope everyone's having a wonderful week so far. Here in Spain, today is a public holiday, but of course, as they say, money never sleeps. Yes, some of us do have to work. But I hope whatever you guys are doing, those who are retired, having a holiday, those still working, taking care of children, do have a wonderful Friday. Today we start a series on Portugal. So many of our clients live in Portugal. Many of you watching this perhaps might consider Portugal as a place to go and maybe work, perhaps retire. In this series we'll be taking a look at the different types of taxes that applies as a resident in Portugal. We will be taking a look at the special tax regimes such as the NHR, which is non-habitual residence, which many of you would have heard about, and many of you also perhaps may have not been correctly informed of the benefits of NHR, but also what your obligations are and what the pitfalls might be. So today we're going to dive right into the actual NHR itself in terms of what it is for and what target market it's aimed at. Okay? But first of all, to obtain NHR, you actually need to first obtain a visa to live in Portugal, or a residence, shall we say. Of course, those with a European Union passport, very easy to get residence in Portugal, and then one must apply for NHR. Those further afield, non-EU or EEA nationals, so Russians, Chinese for example, then they would have heard of the golden visa. Simply, it's you invest a certain amount of money into a Portuguese property or bond with the actual government itself. So you're parking an amount of money with the government, and that would qualify you to apply for a golden visa, which gives you permanent residence, or should we say temporary residence, for a number of years to begin with. Once you have these residence or visas, you then apply for NHR. So what is NHR? Well, it stands for non-habitual residence. It's designed for people who feel or are wanting to choose Portugal as their home in the future. And it comes with various tax benefits and advantage. But before we go on to those tax advantages, let's look at the target groups. Primarily, it was marketed to aim at both the retired market, or those approaching retiree, where they will then draw upon their pension. And the other significant market is the highly skilled workers market, so scientists, artists, so on and so forth, those in higher management, in hospitality, for example, very much targeted for NHR. But why target these people? What will these groups of individuals get when they apply and get granted NHR? Well, let's take a look at our main demographic to begin with, which is those approaching their twilight years, approaching retirement, or are already retired. If you are drawing upon your pension, so that's your company pension, your private pension, then the NHR that has been granted to you will ensure that you will not pay any more than 10% taxes to Portugal, if any, of course. Now, how does it work in practice? Well, if you're drawing on your pension and the home country, so in this case where your pension is based. So some of you might have pensions in the UK, some of you might have pensions in Malta. If the UK and Malta does not tax the pension income that they pay out to you whilst you're living in Portugal under the NHR regime, then all you would do is pay 10% to the Portuguese tax authorities. Very simple, nothing complicated about it whatsoever. Now, what if taxes are being deducted at source? Now, this is actually a very common practice from the UK, for example. You're receiving your final salary pension, you're receiving your drawdown pension from your private scheme. Those schemes will ordinarily, well, not ordinarily, will always confirm with HMRC your relevant tax code, and obviously if there are taxes to be deducted, then taxes are deducted at source. You still have to make sure that whatever taxes are deducted at source, that you do a tax filing here in Portugal to ensure that a tax of 10% has been paid. Now, for those of you from the UK or have UK pensions, you would realise that in the UK there are personal allowances. 12,750 is the current allowance. So if the pension provider in the UK pays you, say, 12 grand a year, then there's no tax that they would withhold at source or deduct at source. It doesn't mean it's tax-free in Portugal. You still have to declare it and ensure you pay 10%. Of course, those on state pensions are exempt from all of this. You know, if you receive a state pension, it's UK that has taxation rights. You don't pay a single penny in Portugal. But nonetheless, your state pension does go towards swallowing up any allowances you might have in Portugal, just in case you have income from other sources. There are a few or a number of jurisdictions, of course, that don't withhold taxes at source on pension income, one of which is Malta, which is a popular location actually for people to transfer their pensions to. So if you are in receipt or if you are drawing pensions from a Malta-based pension scheme, Malta has a very good double taxation agreement with Portugal, and it's quite simple. They will pay you gross of taxes. So therefore, you only have to do the one tax filing in Portugal when it comes to your pension income and pay 10% tax because you're within the NHR regime. So that's the pension market. Very simple market to do. Of course, if you wish to simplify your tax return matters and not having to do tax returns in various countries where your pension pots are based, then there's a real benefit in trying to consolidate your various pensions into one and put it in the most appropriate jurisdiction to draw down in the future. The second target market, of course, is the high-skilled workers market. So, I mentioned doctors, artists, scientists, the list goes on. There's a long list on the website. But what does it actually mean? Let's say you're a scientist. You come over to Portugal. Why Portugal? Oh, you love the weather. I love the Algarve. You play golf. You like to go to your kayak on the Algarve coast. You like hiking, so on and so forth. So you want to live in Portugal. But perhaps you work for a big pharmaceutical, you know, with income coming from outside of Portugal. Well, great news. Under the NHR regime, in most circumstances, because the income has come from outside of Portugal, you're not liable, or should we say you are exempt to file and pay taxes on that income. So that's very, very good. Of course, it doesn't exempt you or prevent you from paying any taxes from where your employer is paying you. So do obviously look at the structure of the employer, where it's from, and how those local country tax regimes might affect you. So very important. But what if you're that scientist and you decide to take up employment from a company in Portugal? Well, the NHR also helps you there because it limits the taxation to only 20%. So you're a scientist working for the local laboratory, whatever, and you're earning good money, 100 grand a year. Limit your taxes to 20%. Now, of course, the interesting point here is you just got to make sure and keep up to date that your skill, your occupation is still with the NHR regime to benefit from that. Okay? A lot of people feel coming to Portugal under the NHR regime that everything is going to be tax-free, or certainly everything's going to be at a very reduced amount of tax. Not the case. So today we've looked at the non-habitual residence. It lasts for 10 years and it is a good regime for the right people. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, right, I'm going to come to Portugal, please do so. If you need assistance with accountants, with setting up an NHR, do contact us. We provide all those services. Now, next week, I will continue the Portuguese series and we'll be talking about the actual rules on taxes and obligations for your other assets. Today, we've just really talked about pension income and employment income, okay? So next week, we'll be talking about investment income, rental income, so on and so forth. So thank you again for everybody, for those watching my channels. Do go onto my YouTube channel, press subscribe. Do feel free to share these videos to your friends, your loved ones, your colleagues that perhaps are looking to relocate to Europe. And yes, once again, have a wonderful, wonderful Friday, whatever you might be doing. Have a lovely weekend. Stay safe. And I'll see you all again next week. Bye-bye.